Hmm. These people are not going to let the Dangote refinery rest. They are going to so hit that refinery until they frustrate it out of the market, or we are not going to allow it. Just that we're dealing with the Nigerian government and the Nigerian official who came out to say that Dangote is a monopoly and is trying to um, is responsible for producing substandard fuel in Nigeria. Just that we're dealing with that issue. A Nigerian journalist, his name is David Hundenye. Now, David Hundenye is a very prominent Nigerian journalist, he's an investigative journalist, and a lot of stories that have shaken up not just the country but the continent at large. He's responsible for reporting those stories. Now, this week, I follow him on Twitter. This week, I just saw a tweet from him. So apparently, an NGO, Dialogue Earth, that's the name of the NGO, is had attempted to bribe him to pay him $500 to write a smear piece against the Dangote refinery. Now, the purpose of when I looked at the brief, because he didn't just say it, he actually posted evidence for us to look at. Now, the purpose of that brief is to badmouth Dangote refinery and say that it is bad for the environment and how it's going to be against Nigerians' climate commitment and all of those blah 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 blah. And as one of the things he mentioned when about the Dialogue Earth is that it's funded by international heavyweights like the Ford Foundation and Climate Works, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it's Climate Works. Now, interestingly, this Climate Works has been blacklisted in India. For what purpose? For funding organizations that are working against India's national interest. This is the same Climate Works that is funding Dialogue Earth that tried to pay David Houdini $500 to write a smear piece against the Dangote refinery. And this Dialogue Earth NGO is based in London. So now you can see London is there, Ford Foundation, United States is there. So these are external players. My question now is, why are they trying to frustrate Dangote refinery? Whenever people say that Africa is poor, is left poor on purpose, people try to gaslight us and say, no, Africa is not left poor on purpose. Africa is poor because our system is substandard. Africa is poor because of this and that and that. But these are the kind of things that you see. This tell me why a London-based NGO funded by American interests is attempting to pay a Nigerian journalist to speak bad against the Nigerian business, and this Nigerian business clearly works in the interest of Nigeria's economy. Why is it that these external players will not let us be? So these past weeks, all these things have been unfolding. It's dawned on me very clearly why this is the reason why Nigeria has not had a working refinery since independence. This is very clearly because I was listening to an interview with the former president of Nigeria, who I think is the best president to date, President Olusegun Obasanjo, and he said that in that interview he made mention about how he tried to convince Shell and work with Shell to operate Nigeria's refinery so that we can process our oil in the country, then export finished processed products. But in the interview, he said Shell gave five excuses why they couldn't give the blah blah blah, so many excuses. But bottom line is Shell intentionally didn't come into the market to play. Now that the Nigerian interest, I said, fine, if these outsiders like Shell, Chevron, and the rest of them are not going to operate this refinery, and if NNPC, Nigeria's Petroleum Corporation, is not going to operate the refinery, let a private interest come in to take that headache off the government. And now that he has come in, $20 billion investment is frustrating it. And this week also, OPEC released a report stating how the Dangote refinery is going to disrupt Europe's oil sector. And not just will, it has already started disrupting Europe's oil sector. So these are the kind of things that I'm seeing that is very clear to me why they don't want the refinery to work. Because if this Dangote refinery should work, it's not only going to relieve us, Nigeria, of buying processed fuel, like buying petroleum products, processed petroleum products with dollar. It's going to release our dependence on dollar. So we can use our dollar reserves to do other things for the benefit of the countries because obviously we are going to be buying our fuel from Dangote and our petroleum products in general from Dangote with our local currency. But not just that, but also in West Africa. Remember that this Dangote refinery is the biggest refinery in this between Africa, Middle East, and Europe. It's the biggest refinery. Do you understand? In fact, the second refinery after it is doing half of what the Dangote refinery at full capacity is going to be doing. And that refinery, I believe, is in the Netherlands. So this is why they're frustrated, because if the Dangote refinery should work, it will kick them out of business. It will disturb the oil sector, because now Dangote is likely going to supply oil not just to Nigeria but to other West African nations, which is going to help our economies grow. If you can have dependable oil dependable, oh yeah, if dependable petrol from the Dangote refinery, we are sure that we have energy, and with our access to this cheap energy, because it's coming in our local currency, with our access to this cheap energy, it's going to encourage economic growth in the country. But no, these outsiders will not let it be. So they thought of the genius idea to bribe a Nigerian journalist, because if it's in a Nigerian voice, if it's with a prominent journalist, you can say, oh, okay, if the so-called journalists are saying this thing, that means it's bad. And another thing is the pretext of this report of this article that was supposed to be written by David Hundeni is supposed to give the Nigerian government a reason to say, all right, this Dangote refinery should not work, because now it's going to be affecting the climate, it's going to be disturbing energy transition, blah, 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 blah. This week also I saw another report. This one was from Bloomberg. And two words that were used in that headline that caught my attention is influence and disruptor. Influence meaning that once the Dangote refinery is beginning to work, other African countries can say, oh, this thing is possible. And then they will stake their claim, maybe influence them to begin to get their own refineries up and running. And disruptor because it's going to affect Europe's energy sector and Europe's oil sector. Now let me dive into what I think. Number one, I do not care about Europe's energy sector. I do not care about Europe's economy. The same way, since centuries, Europe has not cared about Nigeria's economy or Africa's economy or Africa's energy sector. It is up to the Europeans to look for how they can be competitive in the market. And it's up to Nigerians and Africans to look for how they are going to be competitive in the market and also ensure Nigeria and Africa's economic growth. So my allegiance is not to Europe, it's to Nigeria and to Africa. So if Dangote's refinery working, running at maximum capacity and functioning very well means that Nigeria is going to enjoy economic prosperity. West Africa is going to have access to cheaper oil and clean oil, because the oil that we've been getting from Europe has been blended with nonsense. It's they call it dirty oil. So that is the oil that Europe has been giving to Africa for centuries. That's why our cars are always having issues, because they've been giving us dirty oil. Do you get me? So, by the way, I'm saying that because of several reports I have seen. So, it is in my interest to make sure Dangote Refinery is working. And if Dangote Refinery works to give Nigerians jobs, to improve the Nigeria's economy, to make energy accessible and cheap for Nigerians, so that other businesses and economic activities in Nigeria can keep running, that's my business. And if that thing working is to the detriment of Europe's oil sector, it is not my headache. Neither should it be your headache. In that instance, Europe should look for sensible ways to be more competitive. Secondly, I want to get into this issue of climate change and energy transition that these Westerners have been giving Africa a headache over for several decades now. Number one, I'm not saying that the whole climate change, blah, 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 is a problem or not. That's not what this conversation I want to have here today. The conversation I want to have is Africa, it is more important for us to come out of poverty. That is the existential threat to Africa, not climate change. It is not climate change. It is not energy transition. They say fossil fuels, oh, don't use fossil fuels. Okay, no problem. They should start it. Because I just, sometime last month in July, I saw an infographic. Apparently, the United States is responsible for producing more oil, more crude oil and processed oil than Saudi Arabia and Russia. The United States is producing more crude oil than Saudi Arabia and Russia. Why are they not giving the United States headache over this thing? Why are they not paying American journalists to write smear pieces against all the refineries in the United States? Why are they not doing that? It's Africa. Listen, let me tell you in case you don't know. If we look through history in Europe, in the United States, in China, one thing that we can see, one uniting thread between all these economies, These are the reason they were able to become rich and prosperous is because they industrialized. And they industrialized with fossil fuels. They did not industrialize with solar energy. They don't run their, even as we speak, they don't run their industries with windmill. So why is it Africa that is expected to experiment with this new thing? I don't understand. Why is it Africa now? It's okay. You pesky Africans try to industrialize with windmills and solar energy. Then why is it us? Let us use the parts that they used. That way we have seen it how many times through history we've seen it in works. Let us use the part they have used. Then they can be trying to now be updating their industries with their windmills and their solar and the all this energy transition thing. Let them now try to update their industries with those things. Then when we get to where they are, we can now learn from them the mistakes they made. We cannot use Africa to experiment this thing because it's risky. Trying to use Africa to experiment, industrializing and becoming rich with green energy and all this environmentally friendly energy. It is a risky gamble. We are not taking it. What I'm advocating is that Africa should use all forms of energy available to it. We are not going to kick out fossil fuels because Europe said fossil fuels is bad. It's bad. They should stop using it. They should stop. They should because if we look, Africa has impacted the least. Africa has the least impact on the whole climate change something and the whole carbon footprint. Africa has the least impact. So why should we carry again? Why should we carry the headache of the world? Why should we be left to carry that bag? This is the same thing that happened in all the other times the rest of the world was moving. This is the same thing. Africa will carry the bag. We leave Africa carrying the bag while we have the good life. No, we have seen the good life you people have in your countries. We like the way it looks, and we want to have that too. And we would have that using the same model that you people used. You can now transition. Then once we get to where you are, we can begin to think about ditching fossil fuels. Let me even ask. I want to know how serious they are. You know what? Let's see how serious they are. United States, you say, oh, we are so, and Ford Foundation, all these NGOs, they should come out and say, oh, we are so committed to the environment. We are so committed to reducing our carbon footprint that we're not going to refine our oil anymore in the United States. Dangote Refinery, refine the oil for us and send it to us in the United States. I would take them seriously when Norway comes out to tell us that, oh, they are so committed to the green energy, they are so committed to reducing their carbon footprint, and we are so against climate change. We are no longer going to refine our oil. Africa, refine the oil and send to Norway. Europe will come out together, the EU will come out collectively and say, oh, this energy, this fossil fuels is so bad, it's so dirty. Africa, refine the oil and send us refined product. We will be importing refined oil. When they do that, I will take them seriously. When they do that, I will take them seriously. But until then, nobody, because a very Africa has paid a painful price for the development of the whole world. For us to continue that same stupidity now, no, we will not do it. We will not do it. So I have a message to all this, and I'm saying, okay, before I move to my message, I want to mention this now clearly that you guys who are watching, I believe that we're all coming together who are on this, who are watching this show and who are subscribed to this channel. We're all coming here because we are concerned about the growth of Africa, and we're committed. We are committed to pulling Africa out of poverty and developing this continent. So I want you to understand that the way they are fighting Dangote Refinery, they will fight us too. Anything that we want to do that we say enough, Africa is no longer going to be the place to just take raw materials and export, right? Africa is going to be the place to process our raw materials, our resources, and export finished products. I want you to understand that they will fight us. We are going to receive severe antagonism from outsiders and even internal players who are working for the interest of external players. So this thing with Dangote is not just going to be just Dangote. No, it's going to be all of us. So I want you to begin to arrange your mind right now to be ready for the fight because the fight will come. Don't think that they are done with Dangote because first of all they use the Nigerian government. Nigerian government refuse to provide Dangote refinery with crude oil. Yet Nigeria is the number one producer of crude oil in Africa. Instead, Dangote had to go to Libya. In fact, I even saw some some weeks ago that Libya said they are not giving Dangote crude oil. I'm telling you, Dangote intended to go to Libya to get it. Libya said they are not giving Dangote crude oil, that they've not had that conversation with Dangote. Angola, Dangote is looking to get crude oil from Angola. Dangote currently is importing crude oil from the United States. Dangote is importing crude oil from Brazil. Yet, Nigeria is Africa's #1 producer of crude oil. If you say, okay, we don't want to give to Dangote, if I believe Dangote refinery is 800,000, but I'm not sure, I'll get that figure. But regardless of how much it is, Nigeria produces more crude oil a day than Dangote refinery needs. So even if you give Dangote all he needs to run, Nigeria still has hundreds of thousands of barrels left over. Hundreds of thousands of barrels left over that we can import and give to other people. So we can export and give to other people. But no, and Dangote is not getting crude oil from Nigeria. No, Dangote, a government official came out to say Dangote is producing substandard oil, that is dirty oil. Dangote. Meanwhile, those people a lot of reports have shown us that they are those people who have given us dirty oil. They have not called them out. You are seeing that now. We are seeing NGOs trying to fund Nigerian journalists to speak bad against Dangote refinery, so that the government can use that as a pretext to put an end to the refinery. And this is not going to be the end. Oh. We are still going to see more attacks against this same refinery. Why? Because in some people's, I'm looking for a very nice word. In some people's superior minds, Africa is supposed to be just for getting raw material and nothing more. But we are going to shock them. We are going to shock them. And I want you to also be stirred up, to be inspired to fight. And fighting is not just about, it's not going out to punch people in the face. That's not the fight I mean. The fight I mean is when they hit you, you should come back, because many businesses in Africa, this is what we suffer. Government policies that is punishing our group for the interest of external players. This is what we suffer. So when you come out to fight, that okay, if they push me down today, I'm not going to throw in the towel and say I'm done. No, I will come out again tomorrow. We are going to fight until we pull Africa out of poverty. Because we refuse to be the place where these people just come to take raw materials and go. We refuse that. That is not Africa. That is not my Africa. Settle that in your mind. That is not my Africa. That is not your Africa. Settle that in your mind. They should bring the heat, they should bring the fight, we are ready. They should bring all they can throw, we are ready. But I'm telling you that it doesn't matter what outsiders think. It doesn't matter what they try to do. What matters is what we decide. If Africa will say, all right, yes, we'll continue the business as usual, we'll continue the status quo and just be where you take raw materials that benefits all of you and just a handful of words, blah blah blah. If you say that's what will happen, that is what will happen. But if we say no, we are going to take the wealth and the prosperity of Africa into our hands. We are going to take the growth and the development of Africa into our hands. We are going to be responsible. Count yourself in it, in the solution. We are going to be responsible for Africa's growth. If you take that stance and you say yes, regardless of how much you fight us, regardless of how much you try to smear us, regardless of how much you try to frustrate our businesses, we will keep coming back and coming back and coming back. If we take that stance, I can tell you we are going to win, because there are too many of us and there are too few of them. Do you understand me? So this thing we are saying with Dangote, don't be scared. This thing we are saying with Dangote, don't just say, oh, bad government. Yes, I need you to understand that there are external players that are pulling the strings. That's what is going on. But we are going to win. Do you hear me? We are going to win. United States is never going to tell Nigeria to refine its crude oil and export refined petroleum products to the United States. Norway is not, because I'm mentioning it because Norway has crude oil. Norway is never going to tell Nigeria to refine crude oil for Norway and export finished products so that Norway can import. Europe will never tell Nigeria or the Dangote refinery to refine crude oil for it and export petroleum products to Europe so that Europe will buy. Asia will not do the same thing. Nigeria should not do that. Nigeria, this Dangote refinery will work. This Dangote refinery will work at maximum capacity for the interest of Nigeria, West Africa, and Africa at large. Those who don't like it, they should get out. Like I said before, my interest is for the prosperity of Nigeria, is for the prosperity of Africa, and one of the ways to ensure that prosperity is by the Dangote refinery working at maximum capacity. And if that is to the detriment of Europe's oil sector, I don't give a fuck. Let me know what you think. This Dangote refinery, I never thought I was going to come back to this conversation, but here we are. Everybody's fighting it. So let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and share this video with your friends and family so that we can reach more people across the continent as we are committed to transforming the story of Africa.